Good evening. Thank you all for attending today's public forum for the Dayton, Oregon District Tragedy Fund. My name is Kathy Hollingsworth, and I will be your moderator this evening. The purpose of this forum is for the Oversight Committee to listen to your thoughtful comments and concerns related to the final protocol. The committee's hearts, as well as my own, go out to everyone who was impacted by this senseless tragedy. We understand that this conversation can create difficult feelings, and we don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable. We have a couple of individuals in the back here in the room to assist you if you would wish. If you would just raise your hands. If you need some assistance, please raise your hand or travel to the back of the room and someone will talk with you in a private room set aside. Also, as you entered this evening, you should have received a flyer listing additional mental health resources that are available to you through local organizations. If you did not, they are available at the front table and through the Dayton Foundation's website at www.daytonfoundation.org. In addition, the Montgomery County Prosecutor's Office Victims Witness Division has provided a representative from the Attorney General's Office to talk with anyone about the Ohio Crime Victims Compensation Program. This program provides financial assistance for certain out-of-pocket expenses resulting from a crime. And finally, before we get started, I would like to thank Sinclair Community College for providing this meeting space, parking, and sign language interpreter for the public forum. Joining us this evening are some of the volunteers serving on the Community Oversight Committee that is responsible for the distribution of, or how the distribution will be made for the charitable gifts from the Dayton, Oregon District Tragedy Fund. Those in attendance tonight is Co-Chair Brother Raymond Fitz, Co-Chair and Fund Administrator Dr. Gary Leroy, Helen Jones Kelly, Carolyn Wright, Melanie Bennett, Marva Cosby, Doug Compton, Sarah Hackenbrock, and Sandy Hunt. Also in attendance tonight from the Dayton Foundation are President Mike Parks, Development Officer Jill Korndike, Vice President of Operations Jean Hollahan, Development Assistant Kalita Hollins, and Vice President of Marketing Chris Smith. There are several Oversight Committee members who were not able to attend this session, and those include Julio Mateo, Natalie Skilleter, Joshua Ward, David Bowman, and the Reverend Renard Allen. While I am not a voting member of the Oversight Committee, I have had the honor to be present at their meetings and have witnessed the very difficult task of developing this final protocol. Helping guide the committee through the process have been representatives from other community foundations across the country that have unfortunately experienced similar tragedies. Also, a National Compensation Fund specialist, attorney Ken Feinberg, and his longtime assistant Camille Biros has also been of help. Ken has worked with the victims of 9/11, the Orlando Pulse Club tragedy, and the Boston Marathon bombing, among others. Together, Ken and Camille have provided invaluable support for the council at no cost. After hearing some comments from our committee co-chair, I will return to moderate your comments on the final protocol. In order for everyone to feel heard equally, we request that you keep your comments to 3 minutes. While we sympathize with every one of you and the personal situations that you may be facing due to this tragedy, we ask that you limit your comments and questions to the final protocol. Volunteers will be located in the front at the 2 microphones, and we ask that if you wish to have a comment, that you come up to the microphone so we can all hear you. If you are not comfortable speaking in a public setting, you may email your comments to the fund administrator at tragedyfund@daytonfoundation.org, or meet with a Dayton Foundation representative in a private room immediately following this forum. Now I would like to turn the microphone over to committee co-chair Dr. Gary Leroy, who will update you on the status of the Oregon District Tragedy Fund, and he will also review the final protocol before we open the floor for your comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. And good evening, everyone in attendance. On August 4th, our community faced an unspeakable tragedy that evoked an outpouring of compassion and charitable support unlike anything we've ever experienced in this region. Our hearts grieve for those lives that were taken too soon, and for the many others who were injured. Within hours of this tragedy, the Dayton Foundation established the Dayton, Oregon District Tragedy Fund as a way for charitable individuals to express their grief and to help individuals and families who were affected. These charitable gifts are not intended to compensate for injury or loss of life. Let me repeat that. These charitable gifts are not intended to compensate for injuries or loss of life. Over the past 6 weeks, more than 4,400 individuals and organizations from the greater Dayton community and across the country sent charitable gifts to this fund. As of today, gifts received and pledges to the fund approximate $3 million. As has been the committee's goal, 100% of these donations will be gifted in accordance to the final protocol that you will hear tonight, and not used to pay for any services. The Dayton Foundation is not charging any administrative fees and is paying for all charge card fees that are associated with the gifts going into the fund. All members of the Oversight Committee are donating their time and their services. An independent review of the certified public accountant is being provided at no cost. We have based the strategy of the Dayton, Oregon Tragedy Fund gifts on the precedents from other similar tragedies, and with the advice and counsel from attorney Ken Weinberg and Kamel Barros. This open forum is the committee's continued promise and commitment to provide complete transparency into the process. Your thoughts and suggestions will help us do our part to distribute these funds and these dollars in the most fair, expedited, and equitable way, as well as to honor the intent of those who gave to the fund. As has been previously stated, 100% of these fund gifts will be distributed according to the final protocol, which will be posted in the Dayton Foundation's website at www.daytonfoundation.org starting October 1st. As noted in the final protocol, the determination of the amounts distributed depends on the following: the balance of the gifts in the fund as of October 31st, 2019. 2. The applications received as of October 31st, 2019. 3. Certification of all eligible applications. And 4. Review and approval by the fund administrator. We anticipate that these donations may continue to be received after October 31st, resulting in an additional distribution of charitable gifts in accordance with the final protocol. Once the fund is closed, after the final distributions of gifts, if any gifts remain, they will be awarded to the local mental health organization or organizations. In the final protocol, we've outlined 3 eligible categories with anticipated corresponding percentages for the gifts in the fund. Starting with category A, 75% of the Dayton, Oregon District Tragedy Fund will be gifted to the families who have lost loved ones. All eligible applications in this category will receive the same payment. Category B, 20% of the fund will be gifted to those individuals who were physically injured and required hospitalization for 48 hours or more. Payments to eligible applicants in this category will be grouped based on how long they were hospitalized. In category C, 5% of the fund will be gifted to those individuals who were injured and were treated in a hospital or by a private physician or licensed clinician within 48 hours of August 4th, 2019, in the Oregon District Tragedy. To be fair and equitable, and to distribute the gifts as quickly as possible, distribution of gifts will not be based on the individual's needs or circumstances. Also, eligible applicants may use their gifts however they see fit. We recognize the toll of the tragedy has not just been on the surviving victims and the families whose loved ones were taken, but on the hundreds, if not thousands, of individuals working, living, and visiting the Dayton area. We also understand that no amount of money can bring back the lives lost or wounded. For those individuals who are not eligible to receive these gifts, we are very fortunate to have multiple resources available to members of our community, many of which are offering their services at no cost. As Kathy mentioned earlier, you will find these listed in the Dayton Foundation's website, www.daytonfoundation.org. We also have a handout with contact information available at the entry of this room. Once the committee has considered all of the comments and suggestions, the final protocol, the application forms, will be posted on www.daytonfoundation.org starting October 1st. If you signed the registry when you entered, you will be sent a copy directly. Eligible applicants will be the victims themselves, or families, family members, personal representatives of the individuals who have died as a result of the tragedy. All eligible applicants must complete and submit one of the 2 applications to the fund administrator. All applications will be reviewed and certified according to the final protocol and will receive a gift from the Dayton, Oregon District Tragedy Fund. Under no circumstances will applications' personal information, including their names, addresses, nature of their application, be shared with the public. The Oversight Committee, the representing organizations, and the Dayton Foundation take great pride in the privacy of this information, and we will take this very seriously. In most cases, eligible applicants should not require an attorney to assist them in completing this form, these applications, as it's pretty straightforward. If help is needed, however, assistance is available by contacting the Montgomery County Prosecutor's Office Victim Witness Division. Regarding the timeline, finally, we encourage you to review the following timeline, which is available at the Dayton Foundation's website. On October 1st, the final protocol and applications are available. October 31st is the deadline for submission of your application. Thank you for being here today, and I appreciate your interest in helping our community continue to do good work.
Thank you, Gary. We are now at the portion of the forum where we would like to entertain your comments and questions about the final protocol. Again, I ask that we keep our comments directed at the protocol document, and that we will follow a 3-minute time segment so we can make sure that we hear from everyone who would like to speak. I would also just like to remind you that we do have resources at the back of the room. If you find the conversation to be difficult and would need some help, they're here to help you. So at this point, is there anyone who would like to bring a comment before the group? Please step down to one of the microphones. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Mary Rieger. I've been a resident of Dayton, Ohio since the day of my birth. I do have issue with the way that you are distributing the funds. I think it should be more evenly dispersed. And I'm not just talking about, you never mentioned the mental injuries. People with PTSD, and I know because I have it, and I've lived with it since a young age. People with PTSD and They are going to have to live with this for the rest of their life.
Right. What I'm hearing you say is that it would be your wish that we could open the fund up to people beyond physical injury, to people who have also psychological issues.
Yes, because everybody that was in that area that night, that ran for their lives, if not were shot, that survived, they're going to have to survive with looking around the corner.
Certainly.
Before they step out to make for sure it's safe.
Yes, thank you for that comment. We will take that under advisement.
Thank
you very much. Yes, sir.
This will be different. My name is Bill Whirling. I'm with the Community Homicide Prayer Vigils. And it's a great thing that you all are doing, but I made some notes. And I guess my questions are, why is this being done for 9 homicide victims? They're such a small group. Just in Dayton and Trotwood, this year, to date, we've had 33 homicides. Those 9 are a part of that 33. Nothing is being done for the families of the other victims. Last year, we had 44 homicides. Nobody did a thing for any of them. The year before, 2017, 33, 2016, we had 55. Many of these get a small write-up in the paper. Sometimes the name is even incorrect. Addresses are incorrect. We locate the people. Does anyone care about those families? Maybe if we did, that something could be done about the homicides in total.
So, sir, if I'm saying it correctly, your comment would be you would wish the fund to look at more than those that were involved in the Dayton, Oregon District tragedy. Am I saying that correctly?
Correct. All homicide victims.
Thank you for that comment, and we will keep that under advisement.
Right. And you know, the last note I have here is this year, 33 people killed. You've selected 9. What about the rest? And their families are suffering. Many of them did not have the money for funerals.
Thank you, sir.
Right,
We
thank you.
appreciate your comments and have the idea that you would wish us to look to a larger crowd. Thank you. Sir? Okay. Anyone else? Are you ready? Okay. You want to step forward, please?
Hello, my name is Drew Hoffman. I am a recent student of St. Clair Community College. My concern is that why cannot, just as Mary said earlier, why cannot the funds be evenly distributed to people who have issues in regards to mental illness and PTSD and things like that? After the Orlando shootings, in 2016 at Pulse nightclub, from an article on eqfl.org. It says that we have spoken to victims of other mass shootings. We know the needs are great. We will deliver 100% of all funds we receive to the victims of the horrific shooting at Orlando's Pulse nightclub. This includes victims' families, survivors, and those in the club who may not have suffered physical injury but are in need of trauma support. What does that trauma support imply? Is that only for people that were injured by bullets? Is it not for people who were injured mentally?
So what I'm hearing you say, again, your wish would be is that we would be able to cover a wider group of people, recognizing that there were many that were affected beyond physical injury. And if we could take a look at that, it would be your wish that we do so, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Thank you so much for your comments. Yes, sir.
Hi, Travis Osborne. Thank you for having this forum today. So the question that I had is, if you're not basing the disbursement of the funds on the needs for injured victims or injury or loss of life, you're basing it on precedent from other incidents, what are you basing it on other than the past events? Like, are you looking into it further than just what was established before? Because if you're looking at the 75%, and I have a lot of empathy to the people who have been affected, the loss of life, especially given that I've lost a friend myself. But what consideration are you taking? You're talking about the needs. Like, you said you're not basing it on the needs or the deaths or injury, but what are you basing it off of? Are you just putting it there? I would like to know that. And I personally, if I had to say, I think the needs are important. And it's more to look further into it and say, how could we best distribute these funds rather than just establish something and say, we're done?
So if I'm hearing you correctly, what you are suggesting is that it would be beneficial from your perspective that there be deeper understanding of each of the victims and that funds would be allocated based on that knowledge. Am I saying that right?
That, and as well as, let's say it's the deceased family, if that also plays into factor as well, whether there's children of the deceased, those factors could also be taken into account.
Right, so that there be a deeper understanding and then awarded based on need, psychological, economic, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll take that under advisement. Yes, ma'am.
I'm trying to get upset. My sister was there. But I'm reading this and I see if you're deceased, it doesn't matter. But if you were injured, you're saying based upon, what does it say? Injury or circumstances in the second two categories. That doesn't matter. It's how long you were in the hospital. But the people who are deceased, I can understand them getting more money. Their families don't have them anymore. But you're telling me that somebody who sprained their ankle but spent 3 days in the hospital deserves more money than my sister who was shot, but because of all of the people in the hospital, and it was, through and through, based on her home. You're not taking into account the fact that if somebody makes a loud noise, she starts crying. She's scared all the time. She had a hard time going back to work, and I agree with these people. You come up with this protocol. Well, I'm not basing it on injury or circumstance, but to me, you're basing it on injury and circumstance, because that second set of people, it's going to be based on how long you were in the hospital. That's based on your injury. So you are basing it on that. You're not telling the whole truth.
And I think you're saying it feels inconsistent, am I saying that right?
It's very inconsistent.
Yeah, and that your wish would be is that we would come up with a protocol that would feel more consistent in terms of the severity of the injury?
Yeah, I do believe that the people who lost their lives should be entitled to more money, because now their family might be raising children or whatnot. But as far as being injured, those people all sustained an injury. Why are you making it two separate categories? And then saying, oh, we're not basing this on injury or circumstance, we're basing this on how long you were in the hospital. You were still injured.
Yes.
So it doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, I may be biased because my sister was there, but
Sure.
I mean, I just,
Hearing you say if expanding the types of victims that we are targeting to include those who have obvious trauma would be helpful as well. Thank you for your comment. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Elena, and I also wanted to thank all of you for doing this. It means a lot to see the community come together, especially when we need it. I just wanted to say I agree with what a lot of people have been saying. I was shot, and because of the fact that the bullet scattered in my leg, they can do anything. They can't go and remove it, because it would cause more damage. So there's, I still can't feel part of my leg. I still have issues. I'm just now trying to get back to work. But, by this, how it's laid out, I would be in the lowest percentage. And I do feel like it should maybe be rearranged so that it takes what kind of injuries, because I really don't think that anyone who got shot in this mass shooting should have to, worry about, like medical bills and things like that. And yeah, so.
Right, again, looking at the severity of injury is important, recognizing that people face different things based on the types of injury that they have. And so taking a look at that would be important for the group to consider, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yeah.
Great, thank you so much. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, my name is Florence, and I was not a part of the shooting, but my son was. So for you to get a call at 1 o'clock in the morning and say that your son is in the hospital, he's been shot, that's a scary feeling. And I want to say good evening to some of y'all, because there's some faces up there I can see this morning when I was here. And yes, my thing is, my son went to surgery. He woke, he was still asleep, and he was under the anesthesia, and he was crying. And I could tell that he was dreaming about what happened. He actually seen somebody get shot on the side of him. And the boy got shot in the head, and he fell to the ground. So, the trauma is something that y'all ought to take into factory, because there's people out here that's dealing with trauma as well. I mean, you go to sleep at night and you have bad dreams about what happened to you, or what you did see while you was down there, or what you experienced. It's a lot you go through. I seen my son crawling on the ground. They showed a video where he's fighting, trying to get away for his life, because the car just was between him and the young man that was doing the shooting. So yes, I think y'all need to take trauma and mental health, all of that into consideration. Because people are dealing with that as well.
Thank you for your comments. The amount of trauma, I'm sure, is unbelievable. And I thank you for that suggestion. We'll take it under advisement. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Mike. I'm here representing my son tonight. He was Logan. He was shot and killed August 4th. I didn't get the phone call till 9:30 the next morning. I watched the news all morning and was praying to God that my son wasn't one of them. And I've listened to everybody, and I don't disagree with one comment. I would give all my money away, every penny I've ever had, any penny I'll ever have, to have my son back. I mean, his friend Travis and his other two friends they've lost Logan. So the disbursement is a disbursement. I can't say anything that's going to change your mind, I don't think. I would want everyone that's been affected by this to be taken care of. Everybody. However their injury or their mental status, they need to be helped. I mean, if we have to start another fund, let's ask for another fund to make sure these people are taken care of. Because the two girls were with my son at the end of the night that held his hand and talked to him are in bad shape. They're in bad shape. And I just want everybody to love everybody, and I'm giving out hugs if anybody needs one. And just take care of everybody, please.
Yes, well, thank you for your comments, and what I'm hearing from the group is how we have a desire to be able to do more, and how can we potentially gather more funds so we could do more, or what could we do that could be as fair and equitable as possible for all people who were affected. Are there any other comments?
Are we allowed to see twice?
Are you allowed, what, I'm sorry?
See twice.
If you have something else to add that's additive, certainly.
After the shooting happened, I was someone who went down to the Oregon District every day, and I still have gone every day. I even drew hearts on the sidewalk with their names inside of it. And my friend was on an RTA bus that night as bullets were flying through the Oregon District. And he said, "Drew, are you down there?" And I said, "I usually don't spend time in the Oregon District at 1 a.m. But the fact that someone, my friend, who is severely mentally impacted, cared about me, caused me to give back to my own community, the Oregon District. When I go to sleep at night, every noise, every sound, I personally am scared that I'm going to get shot. I live 3 blocks from the Oregon District. Just like Logan's father said, I do believe that funds should be distributed equally to the point where we are focusing on everyone mentally, physically, emotionally, traumatically. And it's so hard to go down there and listen to the stories of people that don't have anyone to talk to. And I think the most horrifying place to keep all of that information is in your head, because the head is the most dangerous place for that information.
Right, when I'm hearing you say again the mental trauma is very difficult. I would also like to remind everyone that there are resources on the table at the back. If you need someone to talk to, or if you know someone who needs resources, they are available, and please take advantage of them.
With these funds, with these deadlines for these funds and things like that, what if there's someone who's not ready to come out and speak about their experience or the stuff that they had to go to the hospital for, and they don't come and say anything until a year after the shooting happens? What do you do for those people?
So I think perhaps what you're suggesting is, can we hold the deadlines longer than October 30th? Is that what your suggestion is, sir?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We will take that under advisement.
I'm State Representative Fred Strayhorn, and I know a lot of people may confuse a charitable give to access to other things. I know you've mentioned services, but while I have a group of people here who've been injured, I just wanted to say, if you'll indulge me, that my office, you have advocates, but if you're not contacting them, or you have some misgivings or concerns about navigating, call our office. I'll stick around, I'll give you my card. We can help you access those other services that are normally available for these kinds of incidents. The advocates are trying to channel people that way too. Everybody should have one, but if somehow you've missed contact with that, or you you forget or you delay in doing that, contact our office and we'll put you back in touch with the right folks. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing another resource. Yes, sir.
My name is Brian. I'm also a victim. I spoke earlier when a guy who lost his son, when he mentioned there should be another fundraiser for other victims. I just pray that everything's turned out right, because people who don't receive anything, they're going to feel hurt from it. And I just pray that everything goes right and this all goes right, because that's all really that matter. But it really, no money can really bring back people's lives and change anything, but it can help the way it can. I just hope that everything goes right. Like I said, if you can make another fundraiser, whatever it takes to heal everybody in the way that it can, it'll mean a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for your support and your thought that if we could, in fact, perhaps have a larger fund, then more others could be served as well. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, everyone. I'd like to thank you all. I'm Monica Brookhouse's mom. She had a girlfriend come in from Virginia who was also killed that night with her. Her Bee's funeral hasn't even been paid for. I don't know if it's because she's in Virginia. I spoke to her mom right before I came here. She hasn't gotten hardly any information from her advocate. I don't know who that is. But she asked me to get as much information as possible about the form today, or if whoever her advocate is for Nicole Curtis. Could you holler at me when this is all over and done with so we can get her the proper paperwork?
So, ma'am, the advocates are here, and perhaps you can meet at the end of the time with one of them and make sure that the information gets where it needs to go.
All right.
So thank you.
Thank you. I just didn't want her to be forgotten because she's out of another state.
I just had another question, and I don't know if you can answer directly or not, but my question is, what is the likelihood of there being an adjustment to the final protocol, or if this is just an open forum to have? Is there...
So let me tell you the process. After tonight, this group, the full committee, will meet again to review your comments and suggestions, and they have absolutely every capability of changing it based on the comments that you bring tonight.
Okay. I know I asked earlier about what is it based off of, and I think, personally, I didn't mention what I thought, but I think that there are a lot of things to consider, and it's very complex, but I think the needs are the most important. You know, I mean, pain and suffering is hard to figure out, but it should be very much considered and deliberated upon.
Yes, I'm hearing again, looking at it not as an equal split, but as one based on need would be, again, your suggestion for the group. Thank you. At this time, I would like to turn it over to our second co-chair, Brother Ray Fitz, to give some concluding remarks. Brother Ray?
So again, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight and to share the comments that you've made. I can assure you, working with this group, they will take all of that into consideration and we'll have very thorough discussion. We have lots of different opinion on the group, and it takes a good time for us to bring together the protocol. But one thing I want to say is that I think we can all be proud of our community, the Greater Dayton community, for coming together. This Oregon District Tragedy Fund is just one effort. We've seen the work of our first responders, Our political leaders in the city and in the county have really stepped forward to try to use this event to make changes in our community. We have our mental health professionals are willing to work with anybody that's been affected by this to get them the proper service. And as Representative Strayhorn has indicated, he will be really helpful to break through any bureaucratic kinds of problems that you might be experiencing. Again, we want to say thank you for being here tonight, and thank you for bringing forward these suggestions and concerns that you have. Thank you.
And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you so much for coming tonight.